Adversity is Lou Dibella for our winner, Daniel Franco. Lou.
Good evening, everybody. Boxing is a great sport, but it's an unforgiving sport. Every fighter has the courage to walk in the ring, knows the reality is that they may not walk out in the same condition that they walked in. Since last year's Boxing Writers Awards dinner, the following fighters succumbed to in-ring injuries. Jeffrey Claro from the Philippines, Angelique Duchemin from France, Tim Hague from Canada, Gacy Lorenzo from the Dominican Republic, Herbert Ngabiti from Botswana, Francisco Ruiz from El Salvador, Scott Westart from Great Britain, David Whittam from Canada, amateur boxer Tanner Ray from the University of Tennessee. And it's likely that there were more, and just they weren't reported. I'd ask you for a round of applause in their memory. By the grace of God, tonight's honoree, Daniel Franco, the tough, resilient young man, survived the traumatic head injury that nearly took his life. It takes courage to battle back from a traumatic brain injury. But he showed more courage than just what he did in a rehab center in a hospital. Daniel didn't disappear. He used social media to record his struggles and injuries. He forced us to see and acknowledge the dark side of our sport. He challenged our business and our sport to do better. I spoke to Daniel and his dad this week before I prepared these comments. They're going to be a little longer than other people, and I apologize in advance. But Daniel wants fewer men and women in the sport to suffer through what he suffered through. He's going to face, he looks unbelievable, by the way. If you saw Daniel tonight and you met him, he's a good-looking kid, and he looks sensational. He doesn't look like he's been through the struggle that he's been through, but that struggle is going to be with him for the rest of his life, and as wonderful as he's doing and as full of life as he's going to have, it's not going to be the same as it would have been if he wasn't injured in that ring. So I called Daniel and I said, you know, I'm thinking that maybe I want to talk a little bit about what we could do better than we're doing right now. And the great champion Vladimir Klitschko got up here and in his typical classy style, he sent the message, and the message was clear though, we can do better in a lot of different ways. So I didn't really know what to do, so I called a couple of friends of mine. I called the great Dr. Margaret Goodman, my dear friend for many, many years, one of the greatest ring physicians in the history of our sport. And I called Dr. Sethi from New York, who's hasn't been in this business very long, but I'm incredibly impressed by his dedication to the fighters and how much he wants to see positive change. And I called both of them and I said, you know, I got some ideas, I want to run them by you, but also help me, what can we do better? It's barbaric that in a sport that is successful as ours, as exportable as ours, as popular all around this world as boxing, that there are no standardized health and safety regulations across the 50 states in America. That's not acceptable. We need to require baseline neurological testing of every fighter when he's licensed for the first time. So there's something to compare later in case the fighter is injured. We need concussion protocols. Football has them. Football has huge problems with concussions, but if you think boxing doesn't, think about what a knockdown is. Think about what a knockout is. Think about what a TKO is. We need mandatory annual cognitive testing for fighters. And similar to what I just said, there needs to be baseline cognitive testing when a fighter first goes in and gets his initial license, so there is something to compare it to. We need better education of referees so they realize that there's a big difference between a blow to the back of the head and a punch below the waist. We need a national database that all commissions must utilize and have access to, that lists all injuries that fighters sustain, that talks about the fact that fighters have been concussed, that lists the number of times each fighter's been concussed, so that we can better protect the men and women that get into the ring. We can't tolerate PED use the way we tolerate it. We can't make excuses for it. We have to have more of a strict liability attitude toward it. Because think about it. I mean, when you're using PEDs in a business where your job is to hurt someone else and hit them in the head, the use of PEDs is a form of assault and it's simply unacceptable. We probably need to go talk to University Hospital and work out something like football did, where fighters agree that when they pass naturally from this earth, that their brains can be tested for CTE so that we can have data to better improve and make our sport safer. You know, we hear only of deaths and catastrophic injuries. Like that's what gets all the attention in the news. But we don't pay a lot of attention to chronic neurological damage and injuries that occur. We only see the tip of the iceberg in the horrible situations like Daniel Franco endured and the deaths of those other young men and women that I mentioned earlier. Part of the reason for that is we're not doing our jobs well enough. We're not doing the things I just said, the things that aren't rocket science, but need to be done. Another reason for that is that we're in a macho sport, we're in a macho business, but we got to get over some of that. And this is where also the press comes in. You know, talking to a couple of doctors about this, when you're judging a fight or you're reffing a fight or you're the ringside physician, there's a lot of subjectivity. Like you're watching. You know, when a fight gets stopped too quick, everyone's so quick to say, oh, that guy quit like a dog, or, you know, that ref stopped that fight too quickly. And fighters are the victims of their own courage and their own bravery. No one knows a fighter better than himself. So when a fighter's in the ring and he's having a headache, or his sight starts changing, or his balance is off and his equilibrium can't be regained, or he just feels too weird to continue, stop the fight. You, the fighter, there's nothing that you don't lack courage, you don't lack bravery. You don't owe anybody else your life. You owe your family and yourself your health and well-being. So don't feel hesitant to say to the referee, I don't feel well, to the ring doctor, I don't feel well, to the cornerman, I don't feel well. And you should never be criticized by anybody, any writer, any fan. Don't worry about what Twitter says. And it's not about living to fight another day, it's about living another day. And if we, you know what? You know, everyone, there was talk about a national commission years ago. I worked with Senator McCain when he wrote the Ali Act, and you know, there was at that point, again, talk about a national commission, and you know, government has enough time running government. But we need, if there's not going to be a national commission, and if no one's going to do the things we're talking about now, we have to self-govern our sport. Like, we owe it to the men and women that get in the ring and risk their lives to do better. You know, we have to take care of our own. It's my honor to present the Bill Crawford Award for Courage to a brave young man, a true fighter in and out of the ring, Daniel Twitch Franco.
Hello everybody, my name is Daniel Franco. I was formerly known as Twitch inside of the boxing ring. I just want to say that I feel so lucky to be standing here. Lucky to be alive and be with you all here in this room. Every walking moment, every day, every single breath, I'm very grateful for. Grateful for my existence. Grateful for my amazing recovery. And most of all, grateful for my supporters and my family. I still very much love the sport of boxing, even though it had been a bitter and almost life-ending experience. I still will not change a single thing. Yeah, I'll probably change one thing, but still, I would not be the person that I am today without the beautiful and challenging sport of boxing. It takes will, strength, desire, and determination to become a champion in the sport of boxing. I would love to begin giving back to the boxing community and help improve the sport, the business, and the lives of fighters that are involved. Boxing is in all of you. Whether you have competed or you have not, the sport of boxing shapes all those who are involved to a stronger self and a more determined person. Thank you for coming out today. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate everybody who has come here and actually believes in the sport of boxing and really supports it, and that pours their heart into this sport. People give up their life for this, and mine was almost taken, but I'm here to help improve the sport and help make it better. Thank you, guys.
Well, that's a showstopper. Daniel, congratulations. And Lou, beautifully put. Beautifully put. We move on now to another candidate for Fight of the Year. Our fourth candidate, it was in April. It was the heavyweight championship of the world between the champion, Vladimir Klitschko, and the challenger, Anthony Joshua.